Broadcasting from Cincinnati, you're listening to the Ringside Reporter podcast. All the news from the world of boxing right here.
Well, I'm talking to you the way I want to talk to you.
Now, here's your host, Eric Lorda.
And we are live. Welcome to the Ringside Reporter show, where we talk about the latest boxing news. If it's related to boxing, we'll talk about it here. My name is Eric Lorta, and I'm here with my co-host, Joe Habib. We got a great show for you today. And guys, if you want to call in, we got it. You can call in today, 570-530-8316. There you go. So we are trying something new here. We're going to see if how the calls go today and everything like that, and how the software works, and going to do a test run. There's no better way to test it than in a full-blown show. So we'll see how it goes today, all right? So there you go. All right. Let's get started with it, man. DAZN. This was beep. Why was this fight on a Wednesday?
Australia. That's how they do it in Australia.
I don't really. Wednesday? A Wednesday.
Yeah.
A Wednesday.
The Japanese, they'll do fights on Sunday night, Monday morning.
I don't mind the Japanese fights. Yeah, I don't mind the Japanese. The Tuesday fights or the Monday fight, I don't mind those. But this one on a Wednesday.
Yeah, it's different.
Yeah, the number is Eric's cell. Feel free to send memes. That's right. Could you imagine if like our number was out there just full blown, like the amount of like our whole, like it would just turn into a giant chat session.
Doesn't matter. I got security in this facility. I'm not worried about any of these motherfuckers. Fuck them all. I'm not stopping the bead.
I got security. Beeb Industries, hard on security for sure. All right, Beeb. Jai Opetaia versus David Naika for the IBF Cruiserweight title. Opetaia wins by 4th round KO. It was a right hook. I mean, it was a combination. It was a couple of times. I mean, Opetaia really landed some big shots on this guy. It was a right hook from Opetaia that did the damage. Naika was definitely game, man. He was in there. He was in there to fight. Babe, I had never heard of Naika before this, but somebody in the chat last week, I remember somebody in the chat last week mentioned him and said he had a good amateur career and that he's like a live dog, basically, you know. But this was definitely a step too far for him.
Yeah, there's a lot of bad blood between these two. They actually were. I never understood why fighters do this, but they were headbutting each other during the the face-off after one of their press conferences and after the weigh-in. They're sitting there headbutting each other. That's what they're saying. Do you guys not want to fight? Do you want to cut each other's head open so you can't fight? What's the logic behind that?
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing too, is that, listen, whoever security is, the fighters should never touch each other ever until the fight, like ever. They want to shake hands, whatever, but they should never touch each other. And you see this constantly. They'll put their hands up, they'll go into it. And that's I don't understand why security lets them do this.
I'm not a big fan of it.
No, because really you're hurting yourself because something pops off, somebody gets injured. Really, Caleb Plant, Canelo, you remember that one with that press conference, that first one where he
slap
smacked
in the face,
busted his eye up and everything like that. And now what? You got $1 million fight out there now, can't take place, So not good, man. Not good. But I tell you, like I said, man, Nakia was good. It's just Jai Opetaia is on a different level. He really was. Those combinations he was throwing, he hit him with the straight left. I think it was in the first round. It was like a straight left, like an overhand left, and just tagged him, man. And it was like, man, I mean, that shot came out of the woodwork, like it just tagged him. What was your impressions of him through this fight? I mean, because it was like a showcase level fight for him. I don't think anybody really thought that Nakia was a serious threat, but
my thing with Jai Opetaia is he's definitely a formidable guy. He's powerful. He's explosive. He can punch, but they're talking about him going up to heavyweight, and it seems like they're getting a little bit ahead of themselves, because I'm not sure with that style, because he's got one of them stalker type styles, one of those swarmer type styles where he really loves to come forward and apply pressure, and he has a style where he has no fear. And I hate to say this, but you have to have some sort of fear as a boxer, meaning you have to be mindful of what's coming back at you, and you have to be aware that if someone of a high stature that can hurt you, you have to be prepared to deal with that. And it's almost like when you're young, you feel like you're invincible. Right now, the way Jai Opetaia approaches these fights, is as if he feels like he's invincible. He just comes forward with no fear, no apprehension, and he's just walking these guys down. So I haven't really seen him show any slickness at all, any caginess, I should say, right? This is a power fighter through and through. And if he's going to go up to heavyweight, like they're saying, I'm not sure that power swarmer aggression style that he has will suit him well against one of those bigger guys, particularly Usyk, who is very cagey. Now, will he be able to walk guys down like he's been walking guys down at Cruiserweight? I don't know. No. But again, I don't want to say he's one-dimensional, but he approaches these fights like it's a seek and destroy mission, and he's the guy who's looking to destroy. He's the guy who's looking to seek and destroy, and he doesn't take a back step at all. So this fight was supposed to be competitive, but it was anything but that. I mean, this was a very one-sided fight, in my opinion. So, yeah, I want to see a little bit more. I want him to be a little more methodical. I want him to be a little more creative with the offense instead of just coming forward and just trying to bomb guys out. I want to see him let the fight develop more instead of forcing the fight. And it seems like he kind of forces the fight. And what happens when that doesn't work? What happens when you can't impose your will? Is there a plan B? Because we saw in that fight against Breedis, the second one, the last 3 rounds, when he was having his way in the first 9, but when Breedis was able to withstand the onslaught and come back with some of his own, Jai Opetaia looked a little bit lost. He didn't know how to fight being in a defensive posture, in other words. So it's like he's like one of them. He's like a sports car that only knows 5th gear, right? Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes you got to downshift to second and third, right? And when you looked at that second Breedis fight, when he wasn't the hunter and he was being hunted, he didn't react well to that. And at heavyweight, you're not always going to be the hunter, especially being undersized the way he is.
Can you imagine him and Martin Bacoli fighting?
Yeah, that's going to be something. Right? That would be something. That would be something.
As big as Bacoli is, man, are you kidding me? I think that, to me, he's good. He's a very good fighter. Don't get me wrong. And he's very good upside. Listen, he's an elite fighter. No question about it. Anytime you're at that level and you're that, he's elite. But somebody's going to be able to take his punch. And then what happens when they can take his punch? I don't know. And that remains to be seen. What happens when he's hurt?
What happens when he can't force the other guy back like he's been able to do for all these fights so far?
And that's going to be a real interesting test. I'll tell you what, it's going to be a real interesting test because after the fight, Opetaia called out 2-belt champion Gilberto Zurdo Ramirez for the fight. And I love this fight. Zurdo, he's a good fighter. He's going to come forward. That's an exciting fight. He's big. Didn't do great. Well, he lost to Bivol at heavyweight or at light heavyweight. So, that's not really a mark on your record. Losing to that guy, he's, top. So I don't know. In Virtuoso says, will Zurdo be able to absorb Jai's power punches? We're going to find out, man. Cause I think that's a great fight. What are your thoughts on that?
I see. That's what I'm saying. So Zurdo's a guy who's cagey. He's a guy who could be aggressive, but he could also kind of fight off the back foot and set traps and be a counterpuncher. And he's not just a come forward guy. Zurdo's a guy who will hold, he'll box from the outside. He'll use his range. He doesn't have to always come forward. He can be a little bit methodical. Sometimes Zurdo will let the fight develop before he decides to put his foot on the gas pedal. Yeah. So Zurdo has more gears. You know what I mean? And that's not to say that Jai's the man at Cruiserweight right now. Like if you ask anyone,
Sure.
People will tell you Jai is the best cruiserweight in the world. But I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to pick Zurdo in that fight. I just think style-wise, I think Zurdo, if he's able to keep Jai Opetaia at a distance and box him from at range, he'll be able to have success that way. And plus, we all know Zurdo, even though he's tall and long, he could still hold his own on the inside too, right? Yeah. And he seems to be bigger and stronger at cruiserweight, much bigger and stronger at cruiserweight.
He really did. Yeah, he really did. It looks like he makes a difference for him at cruiserweight. You know what I mean? Than at light heavyweight. And maybe he was draining himself. I don't know. But he definitely looks just bigger, stronger. You know, I think it's going to be a really good fight. And I'm really, it's especially like that. I want to see Opetaia tested. And I think Zurdo is, I mean, if Zurdo can't test him, I don't know, then he's going to have to move up and weight.
Yeah, I just think, with all due respect, Zurdo's a little more versatile than Jai. Again, that's that one swarmer, seek and destroy type style. And it's he's explosive. He knows how to set shots up. He's really good at placing the punches properly and throwing a variety of punches. He goes to the body well. But again, it's just that one speed, like fifth gear all the time.
Right.
There's no, and you can see, again, going back to the Breeders fight, being in fifth gear the whole fight, he started to get tired a little bit in the last 3 rounds when Breeders was still hanging around. So if he has to go long into a fight and he's exerting so much energy with applying all that pressure, that can wear you down. That's his style causes a fighter to exert a lot of energy, and later in the fight, in the later rounds, the championship rounds, it's hard to sustain that same pace. Now, even when you look at a guy like Better Beef, he's just a little bit different in the way he applies his pressure. He doesn't go. He throws like off-speed type punches. In other words, he'll throw a couple taps before he drops the hammer. This guy Jai is like full speed ahead. Everything has bad intentions on it.
Yeah,
and I don't know, fighting in that manner, if he'll be able to sustain that throughout the course of 12 rounds. And Zurdo definitely will be a challenge to see if he could do that against someone of Zurdo's stature. I'm going to pick Zurdo with the upset against
it's a good
Jai
fight
if they do fight.
Yeah, it's a good fight, and I hope it does come off. Now, Eddie Hearn said after the Naika fight, said that he could possibly move up to heavyweight, but he wants to unify the belts first. He wants to become undisputed at cruiserweight before he moves up. So it gives him more status, as he goes up there. I don't think this guy, I don't know that he fights Usyk. I think Usyk is going to be gone before he gets to heavyweight. I just have that feeling. I don't think Usyk has that many fights left in him.
Usyk's got one fight left.
I think so too. I think he's going to fight. Well, it looks like Joshua and Fury are going to fight, unfortunately. But that being said, I think he's got one fight. He's going to wait for the winner of the other title and then try to either Joe, what was his name? Who were the two fighting? Daniel Dubois and Joseph Parker.
Joseph Parker, yeah.
Yeah, Joseph Parker.
The good thing about the cruiserweight division, though, Eric, is they don't have to wait around for a big money fight. So in the cruiserweight division, you do see guys go for undisputed a lot because it's not like in other divisions when you'd be waiting around for a Floyd, be waiting around for a Crawford. Like when Crawford became undisputed before he moved up, all the young guys were calling out Crawford. In this division, there's really no standout A-side type fighter where they can call the shots against the others. So because of that, it's easier for unifications and undisputed fights to happen because you're not going to sit there. These fighters aren't going to sit there and haggle over who's the A-side or not. They're just going to put the fight together.
There's nobody there. There's really nobody there, though. I mean, it's not a great big division. There's not a whole lot of people there. So your fights
Smith just got knocked out, but knocked out of the pitcher. I'm not saying he got knocked out. He got knocked out of the pitcher by Zurdo Ramirez.
Yeah,
he was one of the names. Now he has to rebuild. So now you got Zurdo and Jai.
Yeah.
Right.
you know, and then the winner, you know, you get undisputed, you're going to be expected to move up to heavyweight, I would think. I mean, would you not be? You know?
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah.
So yeah, man, I don't know. But listen, man, that was the big fight this weekend. There was a woman's fight, like a lady fight or something like that, a cat fight going on. Is that right, babe? Did you catch that one? Nobody caught that one. Nobody watched it. Don't even embellish on it. Stop it. Just stop.
It was Daniel Dubois' sister. It was uneventful.
Please stop. It was terrible.
Listen,
you didn't even watch it, did you? You didn't even watch it.
I didn't watch it either. You know why? Maestro sent it to me, so that's the only reason why I watched it. I wouldn't have watched it.
Maestro watch it? Why? Why would he watch that? What's the matter with you?
I got a job here.
That beef industry.
I got a job here that I got to do. I signed the contract. All right. I don't have creative control like you do. I had an interview for this job. When I interviewed for this job, I was told I got to do it when I'm told. I don't have the leeway you have, all right?
Well, like I said, man,
I don't have 20 weeks vacation. I don't have a company car. I don't get those benefits, okay? I'm like one of those H-1B visa workers where I'm on a program, and if I step out of line for 1 second, I'm out the door.
You know, they said they wanted me. I gave them a piece of paper with a number on it. They said, okay. I said, all right, let's go. So there we go. So listen, man, this is crazy. So the next fight, January 17th, is on UFC Fight Pass from Commerce, California, which I don't know where that is in relation to everything going on, but I got to wonder if it's, you know, hopefully it's not near anything in LA, you know, I don't know where it is. But anyway, Omar Trinidad versus Mike Plenia, 10 rounds featherweights. This is on UFC Fight Pass. So I'm looking at the card here. It's kind of uneventful, to be honest with you. And then January 24th, Naoya Inoue versus Yijun Kim for the undisputed junior featherweight championship. Now, I'll tell you about that fight in a little bit, but yeah, Sam Goodman, again, out of that fight too. January 25th in ESPN Plus, Omar Chavez versus Misael Rodriguez, 10-round super middleweights. So Omar Chavez back in action. There you go. I always thought he would be the best one of the Chavez clan. I really did.
Yeah.
I thought he would be better because it's typically the youngest athlete in the family is usually, or the youngest person in the family is the best athlete. That's usually how it goes because they got to put up with all the nonsense from the older ones. You know what I mean? So there you go. And that's it pretty much. And then there's another one on DAZN, January 25th from Las Vegas. We got Diego Pacheco versus Steve Nelson. There's a Nottingham show on Dalton Smith versus Waleed Wiesa, 12 rounds, junior welterweights. So, yeah, none of those fights are really that jarring, you know. I mean, and I was really looking forward to the Sam Goodman fight, the Naoya Inoue Sam Goodman fight, but that's gone by the boards. So let me tell you what happened here with that fight. Let's see here. Corey Lee Boxing. Shout out to Corey Lee Boxing. Thank you so much, my friend. He's a big Usyk fan. And he's a big Lomachenko fan. He was the one that told us about Lomachenko, and he's the one that told us about Usyk. Really, I mean, we always knew they had talent. Don't get me wrong, but
he's a big Better Beef fan too.
Nah, no, I don't remember that. Haplotype is the youngest, so thanks, Eric. There you go. Pacheco versus Nelson will be fun. That's what Gavin's Ghost says. And Corey Lee, Turkey is changing the sport for the better, in my opinion. Yeah, I agree because he's actually making people fight, you know. But you got to wonder, okay, well, let me ask you this, Beeb, and here's a question. Like, all right, so he's making these fights, right? I wonder, I don't know what the salaries are or what the purses are and everything like that. I'm wondering, you know, now everybody wants to fight on pay-per-view because of the money. Now everybody's going to want to fight in Saudi because of the money. I get that. But is that something we're going to be able to keep pace with? I think that's another important thing. Is the sport or the fighters going to outprice themselves as this goes forward?
Well, what Turki Al-Sheikh's been doing with these fighters is he's given each fighter their own separate deal. He's working with each fighter individually. Each fighter does not know what the other fighter is making. Mm-hmm. So that way there's no back and forth with the, you know, why am I not getting what he's getting, whatever. And I guess the Turkey Al Sheikh's plan is, I'll just pay each guy a big enough purse where they really can't complain and they won't want to ask what the other guy's making. They'll be just so happy with what they're making. So, because Turkey Al Sheikh is the one putting up the cash now, it's easier for these fights to be on DAZN, right? And now what Turkey Al Sheikh's also done is he's lowered the pay-per-view price for a lot of consumers in America.
Yeah, which is good.
So he's pretty much changed the game. And I don't know from a business standpoint, and I don't really care from a business standpoint if it's working out for him. I just know that the big fights are being made. I'm happy that the big fights are being made. And I'm just going to enjoy it while it lasts. And hopefully this will last a long time. A lot of questions are being asked. Is this sustainable? I don't know. But I'm going to enjoy the ride while it lasts. And I know, like,
sure, with
DAZN, there's some cold spells there where you're not getting a lot of fights. There's some fights where they're not really household names for American fight fans. But if you're a diehard, I don't even want to consider myself diehard, but if you're a guy that watches boxing globally, then you're going to enjoy what's going on right now in boxing. But if you're a casual, I'm not so sure that there's anything that's going to jump right out at you that's going to pull you in like UFC is pulling in all those fans from no,
I don't think so either. It's just not it's not exciting enough for casual fans. Like, they like the UFC because it's all action. I do like the way the UFC paces fights versus boxing, but the action, and I like them both, you know. So I like boxing. I've always loved boxing, so that's always my favorite, you know. But your casual friends or whatever, they're going to be more apt to go to UFC than they will be to boxing. Virtuoso, thank you so much, my friend. He said, did any of you two watch the Ring Magazine Awards? I did not. I didn't catch it. I heard, didn't Usyk win Fighter of the Year or something like that with
yes.
Ring Awards? Yeah. Nah, I didn't catch it. I don't really, I'm not a big awards show guy. So yeah, I didn't catch it. All right, so let's talk about this, Beeb. Let's talk about the Sam Goodman nonsense here. So Sam Goodman, once again, pulls out of the fight when they owe Inoue. This is the second time in weeks that he's pulled out. The reason this time, cut opened up. I don't know if it's another cut or the same cut. It sounded like it was the same cut that opened up. That being said, Inoue is moving forward with the fight, and Yijun Kim, a Korean fighter, stepped up on short notice. So shout out to that guy, man, for saving that card. I tell you, if I'm Inoue's people, I don't give Goodman another shot. I mean, come on. And what about the brain trust over there in like Goodman's corner, you know, and all his trainers and stuff? Why are you letting him spar before that cut's healed? You know what I mean? If you needed more time, you should have asked for more time. That way you wouldn't be losing your shot. But
that's correct.
It doesn't make sense to me, B. Why on earth would you let this guy fight or spar? Why didn't you ask for more time? I knew as soon as they said that cut, I think that cut needed stitches, if I'm not mistaken. And as soon as they said that cut needed stitches and they delayed it a month, I'm like, there ain't no way that a cut ain't opening during that fight. There ain't no way. Who, like, yeah, how did you think? I don't understand. Like, how on earth did you think that was going to work for you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that was the dumbest thing ever. And why do you, again, and I understand he's fighting Inoue, so you got to get some sparring in. I get it. But why not ask for more time? You're not ready to spar. There's no way that cut can heal up in a month. No way. That cut was like what, a week before the fight, 2 weeks, maybe 1 or 2 weeks before the fight. They scheduled the fight for roughly a month later. It was like roughly a month later, you know, because it was supposed to be on the 25th and it's going to be on the 25th of January, a month later. And that's what so you decide, you know, I need to spar. So were you using headgear? Were you using anything? You know, even like the headgear, like the guarded headgear.
Yeah, they have the cage.
Why weren't
the cage? Yeah.
What do you call that, Beeb?
The cage in the front.
That's what you call it. You call it the cage. That's what most people call it. Yeah, is that right?
That's how it is in Beantown, baby. I mean, I'm trying to tell you, it's real out here, man. You know
it's real out there. Yeah, you call it the cage. Huh?
Cage.
Okay.
Cage mask.
Cage mask. But why? I don't understand. Like, how did you get cut with one of those on? I mean, you've sparred, I've sparred. I mean, it's hard to take a cut, to get cut when you got that headgear on.
She getting elbowed. It's a
why
freak
you're
thing.
getting cut. You know what I mean? That's why you wear them.
Yeah, it's a freak thing.
I mean, yeah, it is a freak thing. And you wonder what happened. And if you had the same sparring partners going into this, staying with you, that's crazy to me. Because you had a sparring partner just cut you. And again, I don't know what went on. I just know it's stupid. And I know your guy lost out on probably a career high payday. I would assume career high payday. That Tokyo Dome going to be sold out. Inoue, anytime Inoue fights, it's a big deal. He's getting a lot of money. You're going to get a lot of money. Again, it's probably your shot at Inoue. That's a career high. That's career high payday right there. So
big fight.
I don't know.
They're going to reschedule that now, or do you know?
No, they're going on. They're going to go on with the fight on the 24th. And that Korean gentleman stepped in. That Korean boxer stepped in. I've never heard of him, but you know what? Good on him. Good on him, because he's got an opportunity now. And Korean fighters are tough. They are tough guys, man. They're typically always well schooled. They do the basics very well. So yeah, I'll be interested. I don't think he beats Inoue, but hopefully he gives him a fight. Hopefully, and it's hard to prepare. Sometimes these fights can go either way. Sometimes the guy can get demolished, and sometimes the guy has a different style that you're not prepared for. You're prepared for Sam Goodman. You're not prepared for this guy. So it's a disadvantage to the guy coming in on 2 weeks' notice, but it's also a disadvantage to Inoue as well. So
he's got to preparing for new. He's got to prepare for a new opponent now.
Yeah, he's got to prepare for all that. You got to go look at tape and all that other good stuff for it.
Yeah,
And so I think it's probably going to be a pretty good fight. Hopefully, G Trading 8 said, is Ryan Garcia still fighting in Korea or Japan? No word yet. No word yet. I know that he had what was it? He claimed he got injured or whatever. My guess is no. My guess is no, he's not fighting because by April suspension's over, right?
Correct. Yeah.
That's it. So yeah, he's probably going to schedule a fight for April or something like that now. So yeah, that went out the window. And I think my guess, are you getting this too, that you think it's going to be a a tune-up fight? I don't think he fights anybody crazy.
Yeah, I think he's going to fight a tune-up fight coming back. And I think later in the year, I think Turkey Al-Ashi is going to put together that rematch with Devin Haney.
No, man. I want to see him and Tio get it on, man. I think him and Teofimo would be a good fight, man. That would be an awesome fight. That would be great. Let's bring Robert on here. Robert, can you hear me?
Hello, guys.
How are you? You're live.
Hi, Robert. How you doing?
I'm all right.
Yeah,
I'm doing all right.
I was going to say, those fires in California, they're in L.A., so they're a bit of a ways back from you.
Yeah.
I called him. It wasn't him. I called
people
Brian,
like,
too.
People like Brian or Nacho might be affected more than I would.
Well, Nacho's
by
more
the way,
San
that
Diego.
card
But I could be wrong. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But that card in Commerce, California, that's not going to happen, guys. If that is close to LA, that's not going to happen.
That's what I thought.
That
yeah.
That card will be called off.
Yeah.
And as far as Opetaia is concerned and Zurdo, I think Zurdo is going to make a much better heavyweight than Opetaia will, because Zurdo is bigger.
Yeah.
He's been in 45, 46 fights. He's only lost a B-ball, and I think that's going to be a difficult fight for Jai Opetaia to deal with, because I don't think he's ever been in the ring with somebody that has as much fighting experience with Zurdo. I totally agree with Joe. I think Zurdo's going to win that fight.
There you go. I don't know who I'm taking in that, because the fight hasn't even been announced yet. But I think if they did fight, I would lean toward Opetaia. I would lean toward him, but it's a good fight.
Opetaia would definitely be the favorite.
Yeah, I think so for sure.
Yeah, he's gonna be the favorite. But like Joe said, he only knows one way to fight, and we've seen Zurdo fight a couple of different styles with different opponents.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, he lost to Bivol, and according to the scorecard, he got blown out, but he didn't get embarrassed. You know, so and he's been a much better fighter since he gained the 25 pounds and became a cruiserweight. I think cruiserweight and heavyweight are going to be his best division. You know, because he is so much bigger. And I think Opetaia is going to have a hard time dealing with all the different things that Zurdo brings to the ring.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, it's a good fight, though. You know what I mean? I think it's a competitive fight. I think it can go either way. What are your thoughts on Sam Goodman in that whole debacle over there?
I think Sam Goodman and his team just blew a multi-million-dollar payday that they will never have access to ever again. And props to the guy that stepped up and took Goodman's place, because let's face it, Inoue has bigger fish to fry. He's eventually going to fight Nakatani, and that's going to be a fight worth staying up for. Him and Nakatani in the Tokyo Dome. You know, and I know Eddie Hearn wants his guy to fight Inoue. I don't think he'll ever get the chance to do that, because I think they're going to go directly from this fight to the Nakatani fight.
I think so too.
I think that's exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah,
and,
I believe that too.
Sam Goodwin just blew a multi-million-dollar payday, and he had to be ashamed of himself.
Yeah, look, I mean, I don't know how much his paycheck was for getting that fight, but I know, like I said, it's probably a career high payday, no question.
Yeah,
because I mean, what other big fight has Sam Goodman been in?
Yeah,
you know, and I mean that was just stupid. It was just stupid. Even if you have to like not spar up until Sam Goodman, he was not going to beat Inoue anyway. That's number one.
No.
You know, I mean, but
I've seen Sam Goodwin fight. He doesn't have enough power. There's no way that he'd beat Inoue. No.
Yeah, I mean,
and I am one of these diehards that watch, you know, fights wherever they take place. Personally, I've seen him fight. He had no chance of winning that fight.
No, I agree. Yeah, Inoue's good, man. And like I said, and I think he beats Yujun Kim, who's the guy that stepped in for him. I've never heard of this guy. I don't know too much about him. Let me see if I can look up his stats here real quick. Let me see if we can find him out here. 32. He's 32 years old. 21 and 2. Never been knocked out. 13 KOs. Let me see when the last time he fought was. Well, April of 2024. All right, not bad.
Okay.
Yeah, not bad.
All right.
As I'm looking at his records and stuff like that, though, this is definitely the biggest fight of his career, no question. I mean, there's not a whole lot of people.
I would say so. That's why we've never heard of it.
Yeah, you know? Not a whole lot of people recognizable on that resume there. But listen, man, hey, I'm happy for him because he saved that card. He stepped up and said, "Yeah, I'll fight." Yeah. You know, and he was on the. Apparently, he's going to be on weight and everything like that. So that's great, man.
Yeah. But I think the Inoue fight to look forward to is him and Nakatani in the Tokyo Dome. That's the one to look forward to.
Anytime. I think anytime Inoue fights, man, it's must see TV at this point. He's just as he could be as big of a star, and he's already a bigger star in Japan. But you kind of wonder, could he be the same star here in the United States? I don't know.
I have no idea.
I know he's fought here a couple times.
I don't know. He's fought here. Yeah. He fought here during the pandemic when they had the bubble fights in Vegas. But it would be nice to see him here in the U.S. in front of a big crowd. You know, but if he was from the U.S., I don't know if he'd get the same kind of attention because a lot of boxing fans here in this country don't really like to pay attention to the lower weight fighters unless it's somebody like Michael Carbajal or somebody like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, man. It'll be interesting, and it'll be interesting to see how they work it. Robert, actually, I'm going to have you stay on the line here.
Okay.
Unmuted. I'm going to have you unmuted
All
here.
right.
So we're going to talk about this, and I want to talk to all three of you guys about this, or all three of us collectively. The Teofimo Lopez drama, man. So boxing scene had an article out today and talking about like Teofimo and what's going on and everything. And I took a couple of notes down and want to talk about some of this. So Teofimo Lopez has penciled in March to face Subriel Matias. And apparently, according to Boxing Scene, Teo hasn't signed a contract yet. And it says Teofimo has not accepted the terms of the contract. And then he stated, quote, he said that he's too expensive for Top Rank. This guy can't get out of his own way, man. Like,
well, Eric,
this guy should be like the second
think
coming. I mean, he really should. He came on the scene, blew out Lomachenko. He won that Lomachenko fight. There was no controversy, no nothing. You won the Lomachenko fight. By the way, shout out to Beeb, because Beeb was the first one that said he was like the only guy that picked him. He said, and he was emphatic. Beeb was like, he will beat him because this, and this. And sure enough, the jab came through. Beeb, 100% right again. That's why I always bet with him. You know what I mean? Beeb Industries. So you have this here, and like, I don't understand. Like, if I'm a promoter, because as sooner or later that Top Rank contract is going to run out, and the contract is based on fights, not time. They didn't lock him up for a certain. They lock him up for fights, not time. They don't have you for 2 years. They have you for 2 fights or 3 fights or whatever the case may be. What has he done? I mean, let's face it. Since that Lomachenko fight, what has he really done?
Not very much.
In my opinion, Eric. In my opinion, Eric, he's headed.
That's it.
Yeah. In my opinion, Eric, the only fight he's won since then is Josh Taylor. He beat Josh Taylor. But I think he's headed down the same road as Devin Haney. He's going to become a boxing free agent, and then he's going to discover nobody wants him.
Right. Well, Devin Haney, we talked about it last week about BLK Prime. He wants to fight on there. And I'm like, nobody's going to watch you. Like, nobody's going to see you on there. Like, why would you go? What do you think? You're going to have a pay-per-view? You're just going to be a pay-per-view star there where nobody watches you?
Well, you're going to see Lopez in the same kind of position. And it wouldn't surprise me if those two wind up fighting and nobody's able to see it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it would not shock me either. If I'm another promoter, I'm not sure I'm interested in Teofimo. It sounds like he's just a head case. He's not dependable. Now listen, he's got a name, so he's going to make money. But all these fights are out there, and he's letting them go by the wayside. Again, Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney rematch. Jack Catterall's out there. There's tons of, fights for him. But even the IBF, even the WBO, excuse me, has said like that fight between Catterall and Barboza is now going to be an interim title fight for the WBO at 140 until Teofimo figures out his life choices. Like, what is going on here, man?
Well, and he's at that fight with Matisse, who lost his last fight, and they're going to put it on pay-per-view, which does not make any sense to me.
No.
I mean, you have to put these fights where people can see them. And nobody's going to pay for Subriel Matias and Teofimo Lopez on March 15th when Matias hasn't been in the ring since June, and neither has Lopez. So how are you going to get people interested in buying a fight that one guy's coming off of loss and the other guy barely won his last 2 fights?
Well, and his stock went way down, and Matias' stock went way down with his last loss. So, and Teo last fight in June against Steve Claggett, not exactly. And a lot of people thought he lost that fight to Jermaine Ortiz. Beat Josh Taylor, Sandor Martin, Pedro. So since Lomachenko fight, he lost to Kambosos. He came back against Pedro Campa, Sandor Martin, Josh Taylor, Jermaine Ortiz, and Steve Claggett. not exactly murderer's row here, you know?
No.
So, and Matias is coming off a win off a tune-up. Yeah, I get. Omar says he's coming off a win. Yeah, I get it, but his stock plummeted. Let's face it. If Subaru had the belt, this would be a big fight, you know. But the fact that he lost and the fashion that he lost in his hometown and everything like that, you know, it's like, wow, you know. So, B, what's your take on Teofimo? You've always been a Teofimo fan. When he first came out and stuff. Now I know you've kind of soured on him, but what do you make of this last, him not even signing the contract, him wanting more money to fight, you know, by the way, Subriel Matias, you know?
Yeah, I'm perplexed with this one. And I've been perplexed a lot recently in boxing with a lot of these fighters. And again, I'm not a manager, right? But I know that if you're on the shelf and you're not fighting, then you're not making money. And you know, you're offered money by these promoters, and these promoters have deals with the networks, right, and the broadcasters, and they're not going to blow money for no reason, right? So you can't expect the promoter to keep footing the bill for you, and then you want these fights to go on pay-per-view. Okay, if the fights are going to go on pay-per-view, then that's a different model right there. That's a different business model.
Well, and they want this as a pay-per-view fight. This is listed as a pay-per-view fight.
Yeah, so
if it happens,
so you're going to get a lower guaranteed purse in a situation like that, right? So then if the promoter says, okay, we'll give you a percentage after so many pay-per-view buys, and then the fighter turns around and says, no, I want a percentage on every pay-per-view buy. No, it doesn't work that way. We're going to get a return on our investment too. We're going to give you the guarantee, and we got to make sure that we at least break even here.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's the thing. If you want this whole quote unquote pay-per-view star, instead of just locking in the guaranteed purse and locking in, a certain number of fights, and then when that marquee fight does come along, then you make the big deal. But I guess Teofimo Lopez wants that marquee purse for every single fight. He believes that he's a star already, and I'm sorry to say, with all due respect, he's not a household name.
No.
If you would ask anybody who's Teofimo Lopez, they're not going to tell you. They don't know who he is.
No, they don't know.
A lot of people know who Anthony Joshua is. A lot of people know who Canelo Alvarez is. A lot of people know who Tank Davis is. You know, a lot of people know who Tyson Fury is. But if you ask anyone who's Teofimo Lopez, they're going to probably tell you, I don't know who he is. And I don't mean to disparage the guy, but this is just a reality check.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I agree.
So
And
if you're going to sit there and wait, then you're just taking years off of your career. You're wasting away these prime years of your career, and you're going to look back at it and say, where did the time go? All this time while I'm sitting there haggling over these purses, I'm not getting paid, right? I'm not getting paid. I don't have sick leave. I don't have vacation time. I don't have personal days, right? I get sick. I can't go out on FMLA. You know, I don't get paid. I'm on the shelf.
That's it. You don't work, you don't get paid, man. That's it.
There's no union in boxing.
That's life,
no guaranteed contracts.
No, that's life, man. You don't work, you don't get paid. Yeah, that's it. That's the long and short of it, man.
Patriots just fired their head coach right on the field last week.
Here on the field. I didn't even wait to get on the, on the field, man.
And guess what? They still have to pay out his contract.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely they do.
You don't fight. You don't got a deal like that. You don't got a deal like that, T.O. You don't fight. You don't get paid.
Hey, guys, if you like what we're doing, like and subscribe to the channel. Remember, it really helps us out, man. Helps us out with the algorithms, everything like that, man. It really does. So, excuse me, like and subscribe if you like what we're doing here.
Hey, everybody in the chat, hit the motherfucking like button.
There it is. Omar Rodriguez comes up with a really good point. He said, to be fair, Josh Taylor was undefeated and lineal champion when T.O. fought him. So he should get credit for that. And listen, I don't care what anybody says. Let me tell you this. I don't care what anybody says. Josh Taylor beat Catterall in that first fight. He didn't beat him in the second fight. But he clearly won that first fight. That first fight, to me, wasn't close. To me, When I scored the fight, it was not. I mean, it was like what 8-4 somewhere in there.
That's why they have 3 judges. Not everyone scores the fight the same.
Hey, listen, who was that judge that had the Canelo fight a draw?
CJ Ross, I think it was.
CJ Ross. So me and CJ Ross see fights the same way, I guess.
Okay. I was professionally trained by Steve Weisfeld, so
shut up.
I'm a cut above.
Steve White cut above.
I'm a cut above, man.
But I tell you what, in Omar Rodriguez, you're 100% right here. And Josh Taylor, like I said, was the man. He was the man, and he was favored to win that fight. Everybody, I don't think anybody picked Tio because he was such a head case at that point. And they're like, there ain't no way. And Tio, it was a masterful fight by Tio. That was a really good fight for him. Bruce Gass, Boxing Jazz, thank you so much. He said they're all banking on that one life-changing fight like Plant did. He's right. He's right. They're banking on it, but there's nobody there. You know what I mean? Go fight Gervonta. Go get in line for Gervonta Davis if you want a life-changing fight. You know what I mean? Drop some pound, go back to lightweight, whatever, I don't know, man. I don't know. So, yeah, but so that, like I said, he hasn't even signed the contract yet. We expect the fight to go through. I expect him to fight in March. But if this fight falls through, he may have a problem. He may have a big problem.
Have a problem, Eric.
And, this is where, like, I would turn to Turki Al-Sheikh and say, hey, you know what? This is a good fighter. There's a lot of big fights for this guy. This can really, and see where it goes. I don't know. Danny Gervonta said he's retiring. He's not going anywhere. He ain't going
But
nowhere.
do you think Turki would want to deal with this headache, Eric, of Lopez and his father and that whole
Which one, Gervonta Davis or Teofimo Lopez?
2 headaches.
Yeah. Can you imagine? Because Davis said he wanted like 2 Ferraris or 2 Lamborghinis to fight for Saudi or fight in Saudi or whatever. I'm like, oh.
I'll take 2 Toyota Corollas, man.
Well, and Gervonta, he's fighting Lamont Roach on pay-per-view. That's not really a big pay-per-view fight, but
no.
Who knows? I don't know. I'm not making money off it, so I really couldn't tell you. I don't know, man.
I only see one pay-per-view. I only see one pay-per-view fight this year worth playing so far, and it's February 22nd.
There you go. That's the Clarissa Shields fight, right, Robert?
No, that's the light heavyweight rematch, and Daniel Dubois, Joseph Parker, fights like that.
Yeah, Clarissa Shields fights in sometime in February, I guess, and she's fighting for the heavyweight title or whatever. She's already won the heavyweight title, so they'll find somebody else there, and Danielle somebody, I don't know who it was. It didn't look. I mean, there's nobody in their heavyweight division. You know what I mean? There's nobody. If you go to BoxRec and you look at this stuff, and this is why Beeb makes fun of women's boxing all the time, because when you go to like BoxRec or something like that and look at like the heavyweights, there's about 6 of them. So it's like, come on, man. That's why there's not like a huge. But I get they can only fight who they can fight, but still at the same time, if there's only 6 people on the planet, I mean, what are you going to do? So for the last topic here, David Benavidez and David Morell Jr. don't like each other. Beeb, they're constantly. I mean, Benavidez said the fight's personal. I think there was some pushing and shoving at the presser or something like that. Is this legit like beef here? Because I don't know like what could have happened here.
I think it's real. And one thing about David, to me, he comes off as a very authentic person, down-to-earth guy. If he doesn't like you, he's going to tell you he doesn't like you. I don't think there's anything disingenuous about David. I just get that type of sense from him. David Morell is another guy where he shoots straight from the hip, it seems to me. Like these guys, I think there is a genuine dislike. You can just tell when they're around each other, they just don't like each other. And a lot of that, I think, is because, it's a competitive thing. I think both of these guys, they're very primal individuals. They're very, when they got a fight signed, they're locked in. You know what I mean? And for whatever reason, these guys have been going back and forth. They've created a rivalry amongst themselves. And I do think this is genuine. And I think because of this, I think the fight's going to be a barn burner, in my opinion. I think there's going to be a lot of aggressiveness in this fight, a lot of chance taking from both guys. I'm going to go out on a limb and say this is going to be a fight of the year candidate, in my opinion.
Wow. I was just going to ask you, does David Morell have a shot here against Benavidez? I mean, you look at him, he's got, what has he got, 11 fights?
Of course.
What has he got, 11 fights?
Of course he does.
What is he, 48-5 as an amateur? He's got 11-0, 9 KOs, as compared to Benavidez, who's got a full plate, let's just say, 29-0, able to box slug, whatever you want to do, 24 KOs. Again, Canelo avoided this guy. There's no dispute about that. Canelo avoided fighting this guy. And I just don't see anybody beating David Benavidez right now, especially David Morell. And I just think experience alone, because you're not, David Morell David Morell is not Lomachenko here.
No.
That it can just step up to this and then just, and he's a very good fighter, very capable fighter. But that being said, man, I don't know. Robert, what are your thoughts on this?
I think David Benavidez is going to win this fight, and I don't think he's going to have any problem at all. David Morell, yes, he's a Cuban. He comes from the Cuban boxing program. He had a good amateur, but he's never fought anybody of the caliber of David Benavidez in his professional career. They pretty much handpicked his opponents to start with. They didn't give him any tough fights to begin with when he signed with PBC. Now, and that's the way PBC is doing business. PBC is the only organization that is not involved with Turkey Al-Sheikh. Top Rank's involved, Maximum's involved, Golden Boy's involved. All the other major promoters, all the ones in the UK are pretty much involved, but PBC is on its own island. And anybody affiliated with that organization, they're going to be left out in the cold here as far as being able to put top-notch fights together. I think David Benavidez is going to win this fight, and I don't think it'll be a problem at all. I don't know if he'll knock him out. I think it'll be a decent 12-round fight, but Benavidez is going to be motivated to win this because he could very easily fight the winner of Beterbiev and B-Ball. He could be in line to do that. Now he's at 175. So, he didn't get the Canelo fight, but he may get another fight that will make up for it. But all you got to do is keep winning, and he's got to look good doing it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Beeb, anything else to add?
No, I'm going to go with Benavidez as well, but I do think this fight will be competitive. I do think it will be interesting. I just have a feeling David Benavidez is going to pull away in the later rounds. I think his experience will kick in. I like Morell, but a lot of unanswered questions. We've seen David in a good fight against Caleb Plant. We've seen him in a good fight against Bubo Andrade. Anthony Durrell's solid fighter. So he's got some experience. Morell, I think, has not fought anyone on those guys' level yet. That's not to say that he wouldn't be able to deal with them, but I don't know, man. Morell did not look great in his last fight. He had an uneventful decision against an unheralded fighter. I can't even remember his name, to be honest with you, with all due respect.
Who's that?
But
Morell?
Morell. Yeah. But he was.
Who
was it, Robbie?
He was on the.
He was on the Riyadh season.
Radovoj Kaladzic.
Yeah, he was on the Riyadh season undercard, and it was a very uneventful event. I think David, because David's got that gas tank, he has that pressure. I think he's a really, really good volume puncher. I like David in the fight.
There you go. All right, guys, that'll do it for this edition of Ringside Reporter. Not a lot of news this week, not a lot going on. It's January. This in the summer, early summertime is when, or late summer, isn't it? Like when you get to July and stuff like that, there's not a whole lot going on. It's kind of like here. But it'll pick up. It'll pick up here in a week or so. As always, you can catch Joe Habib on X at JHabib1. Find our YouTube channel at ringsidereporterlive.com. And you can find me on X at Ringside73. And guys, we will see you next week.